Welcome back to Eat Sleep Boxing Repeats YouTube channel. We are days away from Oleksandr Usyk versus Anthony Joshua 2. It's the rematch we've waited 11 months for. So we thought we'd do something a bit different this time, and we would revisit the first fight back in September of last year and talk about the highlights of that fight, where Anthony Joshua went wrong, where Oleksandr Usyk went right. Before we go any further, as everyone knows, this fight is a pay-per-view fight. There is a link in the description of this video. If you would like to purchase the fight, please do so with us and use that link. It would be very helpful to do that if you could do that. So that'd be fantastic. Greg, great to be joined by you. I know you've obviously watched the fight back last year. You watched the fight again. You've watched repeats of it. You've done a prediction video. You've done other sorts of analysis. As we've mentioned, we're revisiting the first fight in this video. What are your thoughts on kind of approaching this?
Yeah, thanks very much for having me, Eliot. As always, I'm really looking forward to discussing it. Both me and yourself, we've took a few things away from the first fight. We're both really looking forward to the rematch, and I can't wait to analyse the first fight with you.
Yeah, no, good stuff. I'm looking forward to it. Something new. This could all go tits up, or it could go really well, or something in between. We shall see. First thing I just wanted to discuss with you was the ring walks of the first fight. I know that Anthony Joshua received a bit of criticism because he was kind of running to the ring. I think he kissed someone. There was like an old woman he kissed on the cheek. Looked very relaxed. From your memory, what did you? Some people look into ring walks, some people don't. I don't know if you do, but what were your thoughts on Joshua's ring walk on the night?
Yeah. It's tough, Eliot. I think that I can understand where AJ's coming from. He wants to look as if he's a man of the people and things, but when you've got a fight like that and you've got a Ukrainian technical machine in front of you, for me, that's tunnel vision. You don't look at anyone, you don't talk to anyone. You walk towards that ring looking like a bad man. That's just me personally. So I would have liked to see that, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, no, is what it is. I think he was quite. It kind of reminded me a little bit of the Ruiz fight. I know it's easy to say, but not just talking about the ring walk, talking about like the weigh-in as well. The weigh-in was very chummy. It was all quite friendly for someone you're about to have a massive fight with, someone who's coming to your country to set your belts. It was a bit strange. So we'll see what the build-up is like during fight week. So we're just going to talk about 4 key moments from the first fight. We're just going to go into a bit of detail. We would love to be able to kind of show the fight and talk everyone through it, but we're not able to do that. So we're just going to talk about the key points. First key point we're going to talk about is early on in the fight. As we know, it's a scheduled 12-round fight. It went the full distance. We're going to talk about round 2. As we know, Usyk started the fight better. He kind of As I'll let you take it from here, Greg. But I think it's fair to say it was quite a dominant start from the Ukrainian. What were your thoughts around this part of the fight?
Yeah, no, thanks, Eliot. Yeah, I think we've both went back and we've looked at the fight separately ourselves, and there were some things that Usyk began to do, especially round 2, and I believe that they made a massive difference in the fight. When you look at a lot of heavyweights, Eliot, with the greatest respect to them, a lot of them are more about hurting and finishing fights. That's what they look for, the big punch. If you go back and you look at round 1, it's a bit of a feeling out process that Usyk wins. But in the second round, he starts to play technical games with Joshua. So if you watch him, he's throwing that jab, and instead of bringing the left hand up to the head, he starts bringing it straight down to the body. You don't see that technical stuff often with the heavyweights. That's really unheard of. You go back and you look at some greats like George Foreman, you look at Lennox Lewis, they were masters of the jab. Did they paw in with the jab and throw a straight backhand to the body? Almost never. And I think that took AJ by surprise. And not only would it take him by surprise, Eliot, but you ask anyone who's boxed before, if you get hit in the breadbasket rather than the head, that takes something away from you. It takes a long time to recover. If you get hit really sweet in the body, it hurts and it's like a dull pain and it takes your energy away. So I think that was really important.
Yeah, absolutely. It was interesting because obviously it was so early on in the fight, and I think it took not just Joshua by surprise, but it took people watching by surprise. And I think people learned very early on this was not going to be like an easy win for AJ. It was going to be a tough fight. Whether he was going to win or not, I don't know what people were thinking at that time. But yeah, it was an interesting start to the fight. Going to move swiftly on. Our next key moment is round 3. I think most people would agree this is the first time in the fight where Usyk hurts Joshua, hurts him with a backhand left hook. I think you see on the replays from Joshua's reaction, he's maybe surprised by the shot Usyk throws or the power Usyk's got. Again, just going to give you the stage again. What were your thoughts here when you could see that Joshua was hurt again so early on in the fight by that shot?
Yeah, Eliot, I actually don't think I could say it any better than you just did. That was perfect. I think that it was the shot, and I think it was the power that really bothered AJ. If you watch, he paws in with the jab, and then he throws that backhand left hook. As he throws it, I think Joshua's expecting a straight left hand, and he turns with the shot, but the shot comes round here, and you see his whole head, and he's just like, he's a bit all over the place, you know. And I think it's at that point that Joshua accepts that he's in with a master technician, but also a master technician that holds respectable power at heavyweight. So I think that was a really important part of the fight. Yeah,
I think so. And what did you post round 3? Say rounds 3 to 6. Do you think Joshua went about things a bit differently, maybe because of that shot, or do you think it didn't affect his game plan that much?
I don't know if it affected too much of his game plan, Eliot, but I think it did affect him because I think he was wary of what he threw. But I think part of the game plan with AJ was to show that technically he can hang with Usyk, which was just wrong for so many reasons. If you're a big guy and you hit hard and you've got decent technical ability, go with what you know. Don't try and out-technique a master technician. That's silly. And if you watch some of the things that Joshua does, like paw with the right hand, just to show that he can catch Usyk, that's not going to win you a fight. So I think, to answer your question, Eliot, I think it did affect him a little bit, not the game plan as such, but I think when you feel that power and you know that someone can hurt you that you didn't probably think could, I think it makes you think that little bit more.
Yeah. No, I'll touch on what you've just said a bit later in the video. Just want to ask a couple more questions, but we'll crack on with this fight. We're in round 6 now. Halfway point through the fight. I think Joshua had a bit of success in this round. Usyk maybe. I think you mentioned it off camera. Maybe had a round off. Wasn't his best round of the fight. And Joshua, lands a couple of times. Want to get your thoughts on the round in general, and how Joshua can improve on what he did in round 6 in the rematch.
So I think for me, we've spoke about this earlier. I've spoke to the ESPR guys. If Joshua is going to have success in the rematch, I think he needs to slow down his output, and what he does output, I think he needs to make it work. Like, it really needs to land and it needs to hurt. Round 6, if we can have a quick look at that, Eliot, Usyk slows his feet down. He's very, very side to side the first 4 or 5 rounds or so, pawing at Joshua with a jab, moving round him, circling away from that straight right hand of Joshua's. In round 6, his feet slow down and he stands in front of Joshua a little bit. And you can see that Joshua has success, but even when Joshua's throwing, they're not spiteful right hands that he's catching him with. It's right hands that will show, I can catch you. You're not technically superior, although Usyk was, let's be fair. But I still think that round was something that Joshua can take away. He can look at and think, right, okay, if I find my moments in the rematch, I can land. And I think that's very important.
I've got a random question now, so I'm putting you on the spot here because it's quite fun to do that.
Okay.
Do you think Joshua will, as part of his preparation, not just Joshua, Robert Garcia, Angel Fernandez, do you think as part of their preparation, they will look at the first fight and think, you did that wrong, we're going to do that here, we're going to do that here? Do you think they're using that as part of their preparation?
Yes. Whether they include Joshua in that, I don't know. But I think that they will sit and look at that. They need to watch Eliot and see what Joshua done well, because, like we said, this wasn't a walkover, this fight. Usyk won the fight, right? It was wide enough to show that he did win. But he didn't have it all his own way. We spoke about the stitches that he had on his eye. We spoke about the shots that landed on him. It wasn't a one-sided 119, 108 or a 120, 108, sorry. So I think that they will. I think they will go away and look at that, and I think that they'll say to themselves, right, okay, these things worked in the first fight. If we can slightly change this and continue to make that work, we can hurt Usyk. So yeah, I think they'll go back and watch.
Yeah, good stuff. Final key moment of the fight, round 12. Usyk hurt Joshua again in this round, particularly towards the end of the round and therefore the end of the fight. A lot of people were saying another 30 seconds, Joshua would have been stopped. Usyk could have stopped Joshua if he wanted to, if he had applied more pressure. I personally think in this round, I wouldn't be surprised if Usyk's team said to Usyk just after the 11th round, you have to win this 12th round just to be 100% sure that you've won this fight. We're in the UK. Yeah. Don't put it in, because if he had maybe lost that round, there could have been maybe some more question marks. Howard Foster could have maybe had that fight as a draw. He had the fight very close. Your thoughts on what I've said in terms of how close was Usyk to stopping Joshua, and were you surprised, taken aback at all to see Joshua in that kind of fragile position at the end of the fight?
So that part, Elliot, no, I wasn't surprised, because I think going into the 12th, I think Joshua already, if he was being honest with himself, he knew that he was down. So I do think it was significant, that part of the fight, because for me, I don't want to go into too much and talk about prediction videos and things, but for me, the rematch, I think both guys need to start quicker. I think it could benefit both of them massively. Usyk now knows he can hurt Joshua. Maybe he threw 3 in the first fight, but it was the 4th that landed in the 12th that made Joshua go, wow. Sometimes a fighter will expect you to throw 2, throw 3, but it's if you do what they call a second stage. You throw a 1-2 and then come through with another 3 shots after that, and it catches a fighter off guard. And I think that's what happened in round 12. I don't think Joshua expected Usyk to still have the energy levels that he did. And when he caught him with that shot, he hurt him. There's no two doubts about it, he hurt him. And Usyk is smart enough to think in the rematch, if I do that again, but I do it earlier, can I get him out of there earlier? But you've also got Joshua then, Eliot, turning around and saying to himself, well, if I start earlier and I throw my power shots, will Usyk be able to do that? So it's really interesting stuff.
Yeah. Not long to go now. Just a couple questions from me, Greg. I think the scorecards were 117, 112, 116, 112, 115, 113. As mentioned, Howard Foster had it very close. I think he got some criticism for that. How did you score the fight? How many rounds did you give to Usyk? How many rounds did you give to Joshua?
I have to be honest, I think I had it round about 117, 111 or 117, 110 for Usyk. I think he just done the better work in the majority of the fight. Like we say, it wasn't a one-sided affair, but he was just more energetic and he was more technical in the rounds, and he just knew how to beat AJ. But I think that AJ's mentality and the style that he adapted in that fight, it was all wrong. So I think it can only be better than in the rematch, one way or another.
Do you believe that? Sorry, I'm really out of this, but I feel like this is like more like a job interview now. Do you think it is? Are you one of these? Do you believe that Joshua can only win by KO?
Yes.
Can you see Joshua winning by points, or just KO?
He's got to hurt Usyk. He's got to hurt him, Eliot. There's no two doubts about it. He needs to put a bad man hurting on him. He needs to go for it. He needs to land that right hand. I'm getting right into this week. I need to stop. But he really needs to put a hurting on him. Don't box Usyk. You're wasting your time. Use your attributes. You're a big, strong, heavy guy. Push him. Throw the right hand. Throw the left hook. Show him absolutely no respect. But don't try and box him and go 12 rounds. It's not Andy Ruiz. This is a technical guy who can go on his feet all night. Yeah.
Cool. All right. I could ask a few more questions, but we're running out of time. Greg, really enjoyed doing that with you. I think I've got a feeling we could do it again for Canelo Golovkin 3. I think that's one coming up
Yes.
we could do one for. And yeah, many other fights to come. Greg, thank you for your time. It's been great revisiting the first fight between Usyk and Joshua. Only days away now. Looking forward to it. Usyk Joshua 2 on Sky Sports Box Office. Greg, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me, Eliot. Really appreciate it.